Welcome to the fourth One Show. Today is May 22nd. Nothing heard here is financial advice. Please exercise respect when talking with others. Please raise your hands to talk in the X spaces. Hopefully this will be an interactive space. Our mission is to have this X space evolve into something beneficial for the entire Harmonauts community, made by the Harmonauts community. The initial format, we posted some potential topics in this Google document. Tenacious DeFi will read through all of the posted topics, ask for feedback from the speakers, and hopefully move into some organic and constructive conversation. At any point, people can request to move to another topic or elaborate on the topic at hand. Thanks everyone for tuning in today and or listening in the future. Last, there are 3 Harmonauts that can modify this Google document: myself, Peace and Love, and DOP. Please feel free to reach out at any time to any of us to make modifications moving forward. So if you can make it on the Google document, we'll at least read it on the recording and hopefully talk about it. Basic guidelines in development for One Show X Spaces. Please raise hands on X, as there may be many live speakers. This won't be so much ask the core team, but it'll be more like ask the community, engage with the community. One show will last approximately 2 hours. If you have an important topic and you can't stay for the entire X Spaces, please make it known at the beginning of the show. So One Show topics for May 22nd, 2024. When are MC Recovery Multisig Custodians elections? Next, explain the difference between burning tokens via a smart contract and sending tokens to a dead wallet. Next, will there be a grant program on Harmony One? Again, if so, what are the requirements? DeFi updates and or Harmony One bot updates. I kind of moved this one up the list. How will let me just jump to it real quick. How is Harmony trying to help projects building and launching on the Harmony One network? I wrote down some preliminary notes about a new recovery plan, and hopefully I can talk about it a little bit today. Next, we have the Chainforce project, and then I think a couple more. Then we have the Harmony One DAO kind of updates, is what I call it. Got the Harmonauts DAO and Cryptoland DAO in here. If there's ever any other DAOs that want to come in here, they're very much welcome. And I wrote on here, what the heck is human protocol? Can someone elaborate on those developments whenever? And if anybody wants to talk about the Crazy One domains. So that's pretty much all of the topics. And I think I've already told you, Theo, I was going to ask you about this. So I'm just going to hand it over to you. When are MC Recovery Multisig Custodian elections?
Just in order, or are we waiting for anybody else?
I just gonna go in order. Yeah, we can't. I either gotta share this like 9 gazillion times, or bigger accounts can share it and get the word out a lot more. But most of my people are all here.
Yeah, and it's recorded as well, so I think people can will listen to it afterwards.
Hey Theo, let me just do this since I'm here for this one. Can I start off with the summary of round 19 for recovery, and then I'll let you take over?
Yeah, completely. Yeah, that's totally however it needs to be done. So yeah, I'd love to hear more on that, and we can go into recovery talk. I just wanted to get into the RMC election sometime on the show for sure, though.
Okay. Yeah, let me just kick it off first with recovery updates since we are starting a new one. Awesome. Okay, so the summary of round 19. So round 19 of the burn recovery plan started on April 12th, and 8.5 million were allocated from the Recovery Multisig Committee to the burn partners, with 75% going to Recovery One and 25% going to Modulo. In round 19, we burned 1.4 million in depegged assets. Modulo burned 150K, and Recovery One burned 892K. That is one of the largest burning months for Recovery One, and it's directly correlated with the larger allocation. And then also we exchanged for USDC at a point when the market and the one token price was higher, and then it dropped. So we were able to burn a lot more because the price of depegged assets also dropped during this round. So in total, in 19 rounds, 21.7 million in depegged assets has been burned by the recovery partners, and we're approaching next month the 2-year anniversary since the hack, so that is quite significant. And we already started the round 20. So round 20 started May 17th with the same allocation. So I'll give you guys an update at the end of this month, beginning of next month. But the Recovery Multi-Sig Committee also allocated 75% to Recovery One and 25% going to Modulo in round 20. So that is it for the summary of round 19 burn plan.
Nice, thanks for that. I know that like about 2 months ago we were up to about 20% of we're up to 20% of removal of the depegged assets. Do you
total
know?
Depegged assets burned? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or removed. Yeah, is that something that's kept track of all the time? You know, that's just easy for people to digest those kind of numbers?
Yes, that's tracked. There's really kind of two metrics going. So the efforts done by the burn.
Your voice cut out over here for me anyway.
Yeah, for me as well.
Yeah, we lost you at the metrics. Are you back, Matt? I see affirmation. I'll come grab you. Matt Barrett, are you there, sir? Can you hear us? Uh-oh, he's out. Maybe you'll have to reconnect. That's a good trick. Affirmation, what's up, man?
What's up, man? Finally made one of these.
You did. It's good to have you, man. Been missing you. Welcome back. See if we can get Matt Barrett up here. Anything good in the hood?
Man, same old story. Just work. All work is no. What did they say in The Shining? All work and no play is no fun for.
Make someone a doughboy.
There you go.
There it is.
Hey guys.
Bones. Welcome back. So yeah, the percentage of depegged assets metrics.
Yep. So sorry about that. Sorry about the connection issue. So we are tracking two different metrics. One metric is the efforts done by the burn partners, and another metric is the total amount burned by burn partners and everyone associated with Harmony. So there is a nice tracking tool that was built by Chef Soy Sauce, and I will post this on Twitter, and I will post this into this X space. It says on his burn percentages, there's 23 total percent that is burned. So 23% of depegged assets has been burned to date in these 19 rounds. So I will post that as well, but these are two good metrics to watch.
Awesome. I think I have that in the recovery Discord, so I think I'll start looking at that more too. Is it all the yogurt rocks, or it's all kind of one tool?
Yeah, this is a very comprehensive tool.
Cool. Okay, I'll have to start digging into that more. Fantastic. Okay. So I do have some recovery talk, but I'll circle around time permitting. I see somebody requested here. Let's see who this is. Affirmation again. Hi, Grumba. Let's see if Bones. Let's see if I can. No, you had the problem last time. Theo, let's see if I can get you to co-host. I think Affirmation. I can't remember. Well, you used to be good too. Let's try to. Because I know there's also the Apple Google conflict, so we'll see how it goes. All right. So I'm just gonna throw it out there. Theo, when can you share any kind of information on when the next group of RMC people will be announced? Any kind of new updates? Any kind of updates on the RMC altogether? Any of that would be appreciated. Thanks.
Yeah, I think well again, like thanks for hosting this, and kind of the dedication and consistency is definitely worth noting for everyone here listening, as well for those that are going to tune in later. Like this is the work that needs to be done, right? And then the bear market continues, and then you get to the bull, and then everyone is like spamming spaces and everything. But on the side of RMCs, so for those that don't know, the RMC was formed, which stands for Recovery Multi-Sig Custodians, was formed out of I think it was HIP 30, if I'm not mistaken, which changed the tokenomics for Harmony, which might actually be one of the only chains in the space that has this kind of tokenomics that directly impacts the community. So it's in combination with HIP 28, which split the fees into infrastructure and ecosystem. And then HIP 30 went a step further, and now the staking emissions, or I guess emission amount that originally went 100% to staking, now 75% goes to staking and 25% goes to the multi-sig wallet, held by the Recovery Multi-Sig custodians. So again, if you go back to that date for HIP 30, I believe it was in August of last year. So then if they're serving 1-year terms, so then we're looking at August for re-elections. We could have them a bit earlier. Again, this is the first year of it, so it's not like there's no precedence yet, right? Because it just hasn't existed for that long. So there's not really a routine. I think it's also up to the Recovery Multi-Sig custodians to plan out kind of how they best see that moving forward. I think out of suggestions, I think preparing in July. I think Tenacious, we've been talking a bit back and forth on what that might look like, and maybe getting it started earlier. That way, it's not elections happening in August, but it's the new batch of whoever the Recovery Multi-Sig custodians are, and also like doing more fine tuning and fine printing of saying, okay, can somebody serve like twice in a row? I think the 7 that are doing it now are doing an absolutely phenomenal job. I think also being vigilant and on your toes, right, with the recent like 75% R1 and 25% modulo. Just shows that like people are paying attention and people are putting in the effort to make the most of the situation. Like you're allocated these funds, but it's not necessarily like you just blind signing. This is actually people that are custodians of this fund for the betterment of Harmony. Which for me personally, like I hope this continues like beyond recovery. So then now you actually have custodians that can expand into a DAO, which we had hinted at in emissions DAO, but it was, again, it's a bit early for that kind of thing, because first you have to get through recovery. But with an emissions DAO, now you have essentially like one of the largest decentralized funding in all of the crypto space that's perpetual, right? Because it's ingrained in the tokenomics of the coin itself, which doesn't exist in any other chain. Some people like will burn, some people collect, but they collect and it goes to their centralized company. But here it would be split between 1, the validators, and 2, the people who care about the chain going forward. And now you have this whole system that rewards those who are validating it and those that are like progressing the chain, right? Like making it better. And I think that's something that's phenomenal. So that's a very, very long way to say most likely in July, and then the 1 year mark would be August.
Hey, that's an awesome answer. That's more than I was expecting. So I guess I thought it was 6 months, so a year works. Yeah, so if we can start or keep nibbling at getting some of the infrastructure in and some of the rules, or post on some Talk.Harmony 1 forums and get some feedback and get the ball rolling there, I guess, just to get the feet wet, and then also write up some things like if people want to, drop out, or people don't want to participate, or I'll leave it at that. Anybody else have anything to say before we move on to the next topic? Cool. Next one is explain the difference between burning tokens via smart contract and sending tokens to a dead wallet. Like I'm not a dev here, but maybe I understand a little more than some people. And if anybody else wants to go into this more that can, please let me know. But it's also it's important for the recovery. It's important for people in DeFi in general, I think, to know that some tokens, all tokens aren't created equal. There's lots of different mechanics that can be built into each token with the smart contracts and building new smart contracts. But one of the things that can be built in there is a token can actually have a burn function built into the contract. So if there's 100 million whatever, 100 million whatever tokens, then and you burn 50 million, then they're gone. Like they don't exist anymore. Like there's only now 50 million left. If you send them to a dead wallet, they still exist. They're not accessible, but they're still existing on the blockchain. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out, a little education there, I guess. Maybe it helps. Did you want to say something, Theo?
Yeah, no, just exactly right. Like, just wanted to add on that if you look at how the bridge contracts work with certain bridges, is that there's value that goes in, and then it's locked, and then you're essentially generating a new token, right? Like if it's just starting the bridge, the total circulation of that coin is 0, right? And then the first people sort of bridge in, and you +1, right, every time. And essentially, when you go back to that same contract to burn it, you're removing it. So then you have an opportunity where the total supply actually goes down, as well as the circulating supply. So in both cases, circulating supply will go away. So if you have, right, the dead wallet, right, like it's no longer in circulation, you just have it just sitting, so it's no one can have access to it, right? So in terms of scarcity, it's they're about the same. I think it's more of a syntax where with the bridge smart contract, you can actually have the total supply go down, which in terms of kind of contracts, when you have certain coins and some will be able to burn and you'll effectively remove those. It's that slight difference between the dead tokens, dead wallets, is that a dead wallet, the tokens still exist, right? It's there, but it's unattainable. In both cases, so the smart contract one and sending just to a dead address, circulating supply goes down, right? Because you can't access them. But overall total supply only goes down in the smart contract way of kind of going back to that bridge and basically just saying like -1.
And for me, I mean, I think it makes a difference. I'm not 100% on this, but it seems like it would make a difference if the token was completely gone, if you're adding liquidity for it, and if the token was sitting in a inaccessible wallet, because the supply is still existing, so you're having to add liquidity to a larger supply, where if you actually burn it, then you're adding liquidity to less supply. So it seems like that could be, a potential valuable metric to keep in mind with recovery.
This might be a stupid question, but if it goes to a dead wallet, like I guess now we don't have the technology, but could in theory eventually someday or we could eventually get somebody could break into the or have access to a dead wallet? Like, is there any way of that? So to burn it from the contract would be the best choice to do.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the ongoing Satoshi thing, I think, right? I think there's like a million, I think it's a million BTC locked in Satoshi's wallet. So there's like a whatever that is, a gazillion dollars worth of bonus for people to try to break in there on 24/7, and it hasn't been done yet. So.
Yeah, I feel like in that case, like it wouldn't necessarily be the dead wallet that we'd be most afraid of at that point, because if they can get into a dead wallet, they can get into any wallet, and if that security is gone, we're all screwed.
I know I've heard a little bit on the quantum computing front, but then there's also quantum computing anti-software. So you just have to watch a lot of YouTubes and formulate your own opinion there. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like Theo said, if people are able to get in that wallet, then yeah, they're able to breach different blocks and access different information, and yeah, that's a huge problem. So. It's open ledger, so I mean, I think it's I don't know, it's safe so far. And like I said, I mean, there's a huge prize for people to break into that, and people that lose their money all the time. The dude that's digging through the landfill trying to find his wallet or phone that he threw away, or his keys or whatever it is. I don't know. And happy Pizza Day for everybody. Did that answer your question, Bones?
Yeah, no, I got it. With the landfill guy, I remember that story. He talked about like he would pay the city a percentage of it if they helped him or let him go through the landfill.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy stuff. And then all the people that are no longer here. I think is it Lossless, Theo? That's or I think it's Lossless that has the generational clause in there. I think if it can, I don't know if it's still in action. I just remember from the last run there was the Google Authenticator. There's a wallet that used the Google Authenticator, and then if people hadn't used it for like a year, then there could be like a legacy person that could tap into that maybe, so that so that there's not as many of these wallets with money that people can't access. Do you remember that, Theo, at all? Or?
Yeah, I remember something with lossless. Jeez, yeah, lossless. That was that had to do with like flagging contracts, like to help people avoid phishing. I don't necessarily know the legacy, but it makes sense, right, in terms of just overall security that that I kind of being in the wild west of crypto, you kind of grow accustomed through like trial and error, and also like seeing other people make these kind of mistakes. Which on one hand, regulation will help, right? You can kind of step back and just get into an ETF and you're kind of fine. But again, you don't have that freedom of either using those funds to then go and play around with DeFi or whatever it may be. But yeah, with lossless, I would assume they would. The part that I remember is the contract flagging, but I'd assume they'd have a whole arsenal of kind of like lossless, right? Like limiting your losses and hopefully losing nothing, right, when you're experiencing crypto.
Yes, sir. If we gotta make it easy to teach and easy to understand, and then everybody will jump on. I think we're good there. So this is reoccurring for obvious reasons. Next question, next topic. Will there be a grant program on Harmony One again? If so, what are the requirements?
So currently, the grants on Harmony have been postponed, and I think kind of transitioning out of the bear, we're looking to see if that can be started up again. I think right now it's too early to tell, so I wouldn't like get anybody's hopes up. But in terms of changing markets, it's something that we're open to and we're looking at. And I think in the previous space, the big one with Swoop, we mentioned that we've gone that route before, with mostly on the financial side and not ideally where we would want to be on the business side. And I think that's something that we've taken the time to look into to say, okay, like we want to have, maybe it might not be to the extent that we were in the past, unless it's an insane bull run and we go, again, nothing here, right, is financial advice. But obviously when you have more of a moat, you can you have more spending and you can have grants and then everything, and you won't bat an eye. But I think regardless of that situation, what we really want to focus on is matching to have the I guess the amount of money going in to have the maximum output. And I think that's more on the business side rather than just spending. Because in reality, yeah, like if you announce something with spending, everyone's going to come and they're going to build whatever they build. But we know in the past that sometimes people will either like get accepted or they'll have certain funding for something that doesn't actually benefit Harmony in the long run and actually negatively impacts the users. So rather like in that case, like grants can actually hurt a chain. But I think we're definitely remaining open to it and seeing where we'll go. And I think as the moat continues to grow and everything, and I know we've mentioned this in the past, but it's more so of okay, like we're preparing, we're seeing okay what works in the space, what doesn't, what can we build in the meantime, what can we encourage different people in the community to do. I think there's another question about like how does a project garner like the main account support, for example, and a lot of that is just remaining active. And in terms of bandwidth, like sometimes things will be overlooked, and others might be like prioritized. But I think if the consistency continues, and like right now, I think the person who is going to host it is on vacation, so it's a bit unfortunate timing. But again, right, like if you continue this every single week, or your project is delivering, then it'll be picked up, and then it's on autopilot pretty much. I think there's certain projects, whether it's Recovery, whether it's Galaxy, Knights and Peasants, Coherence also, right, with the NFT marketplace. And I'm failing to mention a few of them. I mean, you have Swap and things like that. And then right with Tenacious, right, with Cryptoland DAO. So you kind of have this batch of things that are being built. And right now there's not really a good central place or hub to see all of them. Ideally, Harmony main account would be that. But I think right now the focus is more on the website and kind of making sure that that's all in order. And while that's being done, right, then the ecosystem kind of gets a little bit overlooked. Ideally, we'd have everything, right? Like everyone would be featured on the main Twitter, like Spaces, like every day. Like everything could be like 10x, right? And I think that's where we're trying to continue iterating and continue pushing. I honestly I forgot the original question, but I tried to answer the second part of like what does it actually take, right? Because it's not necessarily like you have to fill out forms. Excuse me. It's more so like just being out there, right, and posting and doing that work, and sharing it with people. I think what we've seen from the projects that have been doing that, or even showing up here, for example, right, like Recovery One, Affirmation, like everyone, Bones, like everyone has something that they want to do or contribute, and they're showing up and delivering.
Well said, Theo. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, Cryptoland DAO is trying to fill that gap too, but it's everything's a little hard right now because everything's going slow motion, bear or no traffic or whatever you want to call it. But we're trying to get the infrastructure in to be able to kind of showcase and empower projects too. But we're just getting started. I posted our first YouTube yesterday, so we're gonna hopefully keep doing educational content and looking for new ideas and just continue growing. Something else I wanted to point out, you had mentioned earlier, Theo, that the RMC could turn into the emissions DAO, and it's been stated that the recovery could take around 2 years or whatever. It's possible that not financial advice, but that could be something that's available like in the next potential bear market. So that's pretty bullish looking way ahead, but that's some things I think about. Yeah, I think you got the whole thing about the grants. I guess we'll just you could just say what you want to on the, we kind of touched on it, or if you just want to do a pass, that's fine too, Theo. But how is Harmony One like empowering these new projects? Like how does somebody get like tweet worthy of the Harmony One account? How do you get support? You know, how do some get support? How do some not get support? I think that's kind of a thing in the community. Like people, I don't know, wonder about that, or I don't know if people think there's biases or envy or what it is. Just is there any kind of structure for how Harmony One wants to help these new projects that are either here or coming or been still trying to survive?
Yeah, I think kind of on that the note of envy, while also trying to post and repost and kind of scouring the ecosystem is inevitably like either we'll pick some over others, or like sometimes some will be envious of others, just inevitably, right? It's not necessarily something that's uh, picked and chosen. At least not from what I see internally. It's not people going around and saying, "Oh, we're not going to pick these people." I think it's also more of a due diligence is needed. I think a form could be beneficial, just in terms of limiting kind of scams and things like that. Um, and then also just prioritizing, the people that have been here through the bear, right? The people who have stuck around, and kind of rewarding that in a sense. I think I'd like to see a bit more of, but I think it just comes down to just showing up and posting. I think like whether you're building something or what you're building, just share it with your own community, which inevitably does touch the Harmony main account anyway. And then yeah, I think it's also something that we can do internally better, is just reposting, right? Using the leverage that the main account has. Like say even hosting this space, right? With like the co-host of the Harmony um, main account, right? Like we saw how many people showed up for the swoop space. So it does have a major impact. So how does Harmony itself kind of support these ecosystems? Well, one, it's an open platform, so anybody can build anyway. They don't really need Harmony's approval, but Harmony's approval in terms of marketing does help. So that's something that we can do in terms of like say like promotional things or reposts, or even help with tutorials or whatever it may be. Because I mean, there's things that even internally, right, we'll be using as well, and playing around with. I think I've tweeted in the past of like the meta SMS, right, online and different things, playing Knights and Peasants, right? Like there's things that we try and we play as well. I think if there's any questions as well, we also have a strong technical team that's able to deliver things at a pace that's astronomical. No matter what it can be. Sometimes we'll build something and then the next week we're building something completely different. And we continue going for it. I have my own 2 cents on that, but I think in terms of like the technical skill of the team, I think no one can have any complaints. And yeah, I guess that's something else, right? Like if you have questions, post them in either the Discord or Telegram, or even on Twitter. If you have questions and stuff, and tag people, you feel free to tag me, or even the Harmony account, Soph, Casey. A lot of us like go through this and kind of see what is needed. And yeah, eventually we want that to be more ingrained into the Harmony account itself, just because it has the biggest kind of presence, and can really help these smaller projects.
Yes, indeed. So I highlighted fill out a form. So let's work on that. I think that's fantastic. I know I think it was Joskins launched and the initial thing was fine, but then there was a clause that like Harmony can't support Launchpad type things, so they had to go back. So things like that, where if people knew they're in compliance, or if there's something they could do to be in compliance, I think that would be an amazing utility for everybody completely. So highlighted, checked, circled, squared. Coming back to that later on. So I know you had some super cool DeFi updates with the potential, or I don't know if you want to talk about it, with the potential trading and leveraging the speed and efficiency of Harmony. Did you want to talk about that at all, Dio?
Yeah, sure. I think because there's also the runes doc that I had added previously. But in terms of direction, kind of where we're headed, it's more away from that for the time being, and really doing more of a like overall deep dive into perpetual exchanges, kind of seeing what works and what doesn't in the space. So you're not necessarily looking at which ones are the number one in all categories of like users and everything, but mostly like seeing, okay, what front ends are enjoyable to use, like how does it feel to actually use the product, is there any history of hacks, kind of all these things, to first make sure that we're delivering the next primitive, right? I think there's kind of this ongoing DeFi narrative for Harmony that we want to make sure that everyone who uses the chain has the basics, right? Like you have with swap, lend, and then now like perp or perpetual or whatever it's going to be called, is that next area of development in terms of you can swap, you can lend, and then now you can trade futures. In that sense, like it's quite extensive, the depth of research that the team is doing on that. I don't think it's necessarily public. I think it actually might be public, and if it is public, if I can reach it just on like any browser, then I can share it with you guys. Okay, that didn't work. Let's see. Let me try again. Hold on. Bear with me. Bear with me. Let me see if I can get it. Yeah, no, I still, oh, strange.
Darn it.
Yeah. Well, I'll try, I'll reach out to the people that are working on it, but essentially it's this insanely large Excel sheet. I think there's 1,804 entries, or at least cells. I don't know if all of them are entries, but you get everything, all the stats on perp decks that you could ever ask for, and then with links and repos and GitHub. So it's a really nice deep dive that I don't think any other, like if you look in DeFi, or sorry, Delphi Digital or Messari or any of these kind of firms, they don't really go to that much depth, which is interesting on our part that we've kind of gone through this route. But again, right, it sets us up to deliver something that hopefully, again, like benefits the Harmony community, and everyone who's been kind of asking for this DeFi kind of return of DeFi on Harmony. And again, this progresses along with like portfolio and kind of having everything in one space. But again, yeah, so it's extensive research that then goes into development, that then goes into product, and then launch. I don't have a timeline. I think it's too early to give a timeline, because I think we're still deciding which are the finalized repos, or sorry, the finalized repositories from GitHub that other like DeFi products in the space have published, seeing what's open source, what's forkable, what have people done in the past, and then how do we deliver that to the Harmony community, and essentially, like with their platforms or their fees and finality and having it all in the area of Harmony. And again, right, iterating and growing on these narratives, right, with DeFi, cross-chain, AI, and actually delivering products. I think is something that myself I'm excited for. So in terms of the runes and kind of that aspect, it's more taken a back step, just in the fact that not really a lot of people in the space know what the future of runes will be. I have no doubt that people, I mean, the people in that space are incredibly intelligent, and they'll find something that's worthwhile in terms of like programmability to Bitcoin. Like, yeah, of course that's going to be big. But then again, right, we have to think of narratives that make sense for Harmony. And I think that delivering that very basic primitives and just showed that it can be done on Harmony, and that everyone on Harmony has access to those same tools on Harmony. Like it just makes sense in where we're going.
Love that. Two kind of things that go together. So is Protofire helping build the portfolio infrastructure, or somebody else?
So for portfolio, no, that's internal dev. So no, not too much dependence on Protofire on that side, which is kind of like it goes back and forth, right? Like essentially, like both teams are just developers, right? Like that are helping push Harmony forward. One is more of like not personified, but like seen as, okay, this is Harmony Core, and that's Protofire. But in reality, right, like everyone is pushing Harmony forward. So this one our portfolio would not be. I think Perpetual as well would not be, which also reduces the overhead on Protofire, right? We've seen with, I mean, what was it, Swap, Lend, Multisig, Block Scout, which Block Scout is at testnet, and I think is the hardest. They've said the hardest part is already done, and it's just getting the mainnet on the right URL, and then it's out. So that's good, and that's looking nice. So yeah, so Protofire will have, like they already have kind of that decent overhead where they're doing great work pushing Harmony forward, and I think in terms of where we're going, we want to make sure that it's not too much of a burden on them, so that most likely it'll be Harmony Core.
Right on. I saw something.
Okay. Wait, hold on. I found the page. So it is public.
Sweet.
So anyone can find it. Which is so it's harmony.one and then / chart, I think. Chart. Yeah, which is public.
Can we post that link?
I would just, if you want to. I don't know. Well, let me first, hold on. Let me DM people who have been working on it. I haven't heard anything.
You're doing great at teasing. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I don't want to get you in trouble, too, man. You don't have to do it, bro.
Yeah, no, I think it's safer just. I mean, everyone heard, and then it'll be on the recording, which is fine. And it is like if anybody can Google it, right? Like it is public. So it is open to you guys if you want it. So again, that's harmony.one and then /chart. /chart. And it's just stats, it's just information that's already available. So it's not like there's no way that this would be behind closed doors. Yeah, so it's.
Yeah, no, it was simple. I just typed in harmony.
Yeah.
.1 /charts.
Yeah, chart, and it'll. So make sure it's the one without the S, though. You don't want the S at the end. Or it says chart, just chart. I imagine everyone's busy typing or quickly typing. But yeah, that's just something that has, again, like links to perpetual exchanges. Nothing necessarily on here. You'll see in terms of like what we might actually deploy. Are we going to fork and do everything that's on this Excel? No. But I think it just goes to show you that, like, hey, like where we are in the current step of development of perpetuals is the research phase, and kind of weeding out what works, what doesn't, doing that market research, and making sure that we put our best foot forward for everyone in the Harmony community. And then after that, right, go into development and then release of a product. But that's currently kind of like, I guess, an early tease of where we are.
Nice. We got some alpha. I had a couple more DeFi things, and then throw it out to the community again too. If anybody wants to come up and ask a question or participate in any way, just request the mic. It's at the bottom there, bottom left. So another thing I thought of, I just saw that Stephen Say reposted that there might be, or that the MetaMask team is trying to build in like BTC capability to be able to utilize that function. I wondered if that might be part of the reason why the runes thing kind of got pushed down the road. Maybe if they can just harness like native BTC right on MetaMask, then maybe there wouldn't be so much push for the rune stuff. Or if I don't know if that's onto something or just a coincidence or not. Do you know any?
Yeah, I'd say it might be more coincidence, because in terms of like the MetaMask narrative, it makes sense for them to have BTC, right? They've seen, what was it, Phantom? Phantom was number 3, I think, in all apps downloaded. So and Phantom, right, has BTC support, Solana, and Ethereum, and they were kind of one of the early movers to get Bitcoin. And it worked. It made sense, and they took market share away from MetaMask in terms of just these kind of massive wallets. And it makes sense, right? Like you go towards this kind of cross-chain narrative, right? Like you're going to need wallets that support everything. And I think there's different ways and different tooling that you can do. I think we've mentioned the flips in the past in terms of what can you do with inscriptions and actually doing cross-chain transactions without going through a DEX or a centralized exchange, which doesn't exist on anywhere else in the space. And then in terms of the runes themselves, I think it would be interesting to see how they work on MetaMask. And in that case, what we would go after the perpetual exchange, if it made sense and there was a big narrative around runes, we would continue with that development of kind of that Harmony connection, and then you could have it directly in MetaMask, which I think would help us in terms of the burden of development. Is we wouldn't have to necessarily make either another native wallet or something, and we would just be able to go directly to MetaMask. I think the users, right, the vast majority of Harmony users would be pretty happy, I think, for that.
Yeah, I want that. I want that bad. Okay, one more on DeFi for myself. So I use SushiSwap quite a bit. I have provided liquidity on there. But recently, since they integrated, they kind of got rid of the old website, and they're just all on V3, and there like isn't Uniswap V3 integration built currently on SushiSwap on Harmony. So you can't really swap a lot of tokens. It doesn't work. I've seen it on Reddit, people having the same problem. You can people listening, you can go to Swoop, and it does work. So you can swap depegged assets and Hog and One and whatever you want. But I thought it was just Hog specific until recently. I tried to do One and depegged One USDC, and I don't think that worked either. So my question is, has there been any outreach to SushiSwap team, or do you know anything about the Uniswap V3 hiccup there that's going on, or have you experienced that, or anybody?
Yeah, no, definitely experienced it. I think I was looking at different cross-chain options a little while ago and saw that V2 is up, and I think it's still accessible. I think there's still ways that you can get Sushi for V2s since it's just contracts. And I wonder if their front end should still have it, but yeah, exactly. Like their V3, they don't have Harmony support. But if there is V3 that you want support for, it is on Swap, and then if your V2 again, right? If you want to access it, Swoop is a good place. It's a bit hard to keep track of everything when you have like Swoop and Swap and all this stuff, but Hopefully that made sense. I think moving forward, so in terms of communication, we can reach out again to sushi team, because I know we've had good connections with them since the initial kind of campaigns that we did that brought in a lot of liquidity and a lot of volume to Harmony. Currently, the most pressing things in terms of either partnerships or negotiations, and just talks with other people around the space. The biggest one is Layer Zero. Some of you guys have followed up with those kind of posts. Layer Zero. Another one is Li-Fi, and then Synapse, which again, right, are these more aggregators and more kind of bridging. I asked internally to see what we could do to get onto Stargate, and got the approval, so that's nice. And then, so that's just again after the airdrop with Layer Zero is continuing that conversation and saying, okay, like, can we get on Stargate? What does it entail? What can we do on our end for that to happen? Then once you have Stargate, it's an easy plug and play for all these aggregators. So that'll be massive if we can get that. And again, right, like the Coinbase documents and Coinbase forms. So there are things that we're doing. I think right now sushi is maybe not the highest priority just in terms of volume anyway, right? Like in terms of DEX volume, I think well, Swoop will have the advantage, right? Because they're cross chain and they're doing awesome. So if you ever want like a cross chain swap and you don't necessarily know if you're getting the best price, like this is like not an ad, but check out Swoop for sure. We love those guys. And then yeah, David and all them. But then yeah, in terms of on chain on Harmony, the vast majority of that volume and transactions will be on Swap. So just swap.harmony.one. Yeah.
But the problem with swap.harmony.one is there's just not that many depegged assets on there, you know?
Correct. Yeah. If you're trading, I don't think that there shouldn't be any depegged assets on Swap. I think that was something that was a deliberate decision. That way, new users and everything could kind of have like a cleaner interface of not like everything's one USDC, right? So unless you look at the fine print and you realize, oh shoot, like I'm doing this for depegged assets, right? The native the interface itself has to put a flag, so you have to that way because you would hate to have a situation where the user thinks that they're going to get a pegged asset and it's depegged. And again, right, this is why recovery is important, and we can continue with all the allocations and all that. But yes, correct. So in terms of depegged assets, I think actually, yeah, Swoop is probably the best because you can even get access to the DeFi Kingdoms like original pools.
Yeah, and we talked about that on the space, and I think what Swoop goes in and aggregates Cougar Swap. That's where the DeFi Kingdoms liquidity is, and Knights and Peasants. But I think you can add depegged assets to swap.country. It does have the capability. Like on Sonic Swap, you can't add pegged, but you can add depegged to swap.country. So I think that'd be kind of cool to play with someone. I think it was Tech Viva had said, or mentioned to LP the pegged and depegged, right? I think it doesn't matter if it's on swap.country or Swoop or wherever it might be. It's going to be confusing as heck until all those assets are gone. It's just our responsibility to educate. You can put a disclaimer at the top. You know, if you're getting 10 BTC for $10, it's probably the depegged one. I mean, hopefully people would get that. Anybody else have any DeFi stuff?
Yeah, I was kind of curious about the Lend. If there's been any progress or updates with that. If that's been mentioned, I apologize. I was having trouble hearing a few people talking.
Yeah, so not necessarily in terms of contracts, but I do know that stats for Lend is out, which I think you can just reach at stats.lend.country. Should be able to um, should be able to give you kind of a bit more behind the scenes of um, the stats of the use for the lending protocol. That's the biggest one, which is a nice little like metrics page that you can see kind of utilization and everything. Which utilization here shows 99%, which is a lot. So it looks like we can add some more liquidity. That way it's a bit easier and in terms of supply APY and being able to kind of remove funds, right? Because if 99% of the supply is being used, and excuse me, and then you try to leave, well, you know the supply is being used, so you can't just have infinite money. That would be nice, but that's not how these protocols work. So then on our end, something that we can do is we can put a plan together to bootstrap, kind of lend, and then also go back to swap. I think we opened some pools, gave that an initial liquidity, and we can see kind of just internally, right, in terms of a business, kind of seeing how those performed and whether it makes sense to add X amount or 2x or 3x or whatever, right? We'll have to look at that and make sure it makes sense. And we should be doing that to lend as well. It doesn't really make sense to kind of only bootstrap a certain aspect of kind of these DeFi primitives as well. That'll be the same for the perpetual exchange, right? Because it's kind of like chicken and the egg with liquidity and volume, right? Like if you have so much liquidity, you're going to have a lot of volume, or it's easier to have a lot of volume. But if you have no liquidity, it's a pain to get that volume up. But yeah, I mean, looking at this, 99% utility is quite high, so it's nice to see that it's being used. But yeah, we want to make sure that everyone kind of has like a nice fluid market, and we can see if we can kind of see if we can get some funding in there as well.
That take care of you, affirmation?
Yes, sir.
Nice. I mean, I guess I have a question. I always have questions, but so how? What do people lend against? Do they lend against their own holdings? Do they lend against LPs? Do they borrow? Or what is it? What's the objective? Is it going to be that you can borrow against like your staking pool, maybe, or what's some of the down the road stuff, and what's there now? Or can you talk about that at all?
Yeah, I think staking, or sorry, the thing that you brought up at the end, kind of borrowing against their stake, I think that would be really cool to see. I think staking itself is a very, very much untapped potential in terms of like how that passive income can kind of transcend the space, right? Like where you can stake one, but then you can like stake one to earn all assets, right? Like you can have a slogan or whatever, and you stake how you normally stake. But now, like a cross-chain initiative, you can stake Harmony and earn Bitcoin, right? Or earn something, right, where it ties the stake to the lend to then the swap, and you can have kind of this interconnected DeFi that's cross-chain that affects everything, and you could back it with one. I think that still is untapped. I think a lot of people tend to just kind of copy what already exists. But I love kind of the customization that you can do on the staking side. In terms of the use now, a lot of it with lending and borrowing is mostly just you want to leverage your positions, either that you think something's going to go up or something's going to go down. You kind of want to short it. So what you can do is you can kind of hold on to that value, right? Say if you're holding onto one and you think the prices might go down, you might lend out your one and you're holding more USDC or USDT, I think, because we offer both. And then those won't move. Again, this isn't financial advice. This is just how these things work. But yeah, so then the amount, like say with Harmony, as that price goes down, right? Like you're you're kind of hedging against that volatility. So it's a nice way to stay in the system, still access to your one tokens without just selling them, right? Because you could just sell your one tokens and now you're exposed to USDC, and then Harmony like skyrockets or whatever, and then you miss out. Whereas if you kind of have this in more of a lending atmosphere, then it's not as direct and not as harsh of a loss in that sense. So when it's with stable coins and things like that, it's more shorting. You can get access to ETH exposure if you want through your one tokens, if you supply one and then you borrow some ETH. So it's just kind of, it's very, very similar to more traditional lending markets. But in this case, it's just with crypto assets, right? With either a USD pegged stablecoin or with ETH. And currently, I think those are the only 4 that are incorporated. I think we're looking into ways that we can add governance to lend, and that way it would be much more fluid. I think we're noticing with Swap that there's a bit of friction in terms of every time we add new tokens. But in kind of more high level understanding of what this is used for, what it's useful for, that's kind of like the high level understanding.
Nice. Yeah, I remember somebody, I think people were talking about it last time, to be able to utilize their stake, or maybe it just came back to me, but I think that'd be cool, because I mean, personally for myself, it's either one or the other. I can't afford to stake and DeFi, so it's either I'm in one, and then if I can take my profits and then put them back in the stake, and then I kind of circulate. But if I could use both of them, I'd appreciate that a lot more than just doing leverage trading, because that's not my gig. I'm more of a sit on something until it goes up or down. I don't like. I think personally, not financial advice. I don't need that extra stuff. I buy what I like, and I sit on it, and then I like to sell it when I like, and I like to have access to my funds. And I like to understand what's going on completely too. So I guess I just like it easy. But it seems like a untapped resource to me.
Yeah, I think also to add on to that, like in terms of, I think even before I started working at Harmony, I've been here now over a year. I think early days, maybe even part of the community, to be honest. So this is maybe like 3 years ago. The 2 things I was looking for the most with are the liquid staking, which the Tranquil team, and then before the Tranquil team was actually, I think, Michael, I think, is from Fizz, right? It was either Fizzbet or I think it was Fizzbet. I don't know. Tenacious, you might know.
Or Fuzz Finance? Fuzz Finance? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think he was actually the original one that delivered it, and I think Tranquil Finance kind of built off of that contract, or original contract. So kind of the 2 things that I was looking forward to the most is that liquid staking and then auto restaking, which I know might not be like the most revolutionary thing, but just the fact that you have to kind of click to collect your rewards and then click again to stake them. I just thought that it would be nice to have it built in where you can just auto restake. And then that's, again, right, that's where you can have it be your own thing. You can kind of, through staking, you can set up your portfolio, I guess, right? Like you can have like, say, like, I don't know, 5% goes to like Harmony merch or something, and then like 1% is donated, right? Like you can kind of, your stake percentage of kind of earned income could be through Swap, through Lend, through all these things, could be allocated in these ways that you can actually like stake Harmony to earn Bitcoin. Well, it would be like wrapped Bitcoin or whatever, it'd be Bitcoin on Harmony. But still, like, it's still a way to gain that exposure, and then you could bridge off of it and go on to Bitcoin, and you would actually earn Bitcoin from that Harmony stake. And I think all these things, right, like where, exactly like you said, incentivizes more of holding that sum and holding that conviction in Harmony, And it's like, hey, I don't want to necessarily move my funds. I just want to stake. Let me do everything else with that. I think that's something that Blast has done very well because they have the native yield, but if you look under the hood, their native yield is just it's just Lido, so it's just Lido ETH. So which again, there's controversies and centralization and all of that. So it's not in really native yield, and I know the Blast people have said that they're working on incorporating that later on. But in terms of like that feeling you get when you just have ETH on Blast, for example, in your wallet, and then a year from there you have like 1.04, and then another year you have 1.08, another year 1.12, right? Like you kind of have this native yield building up. I mean, those, again, right, this isn't financial advice, and those numbers are just off the top of my head. It's not actually how it would necessarily work, and I suggest people like look into it and always, right, do your own research. But yeah, I think it's something that's completely untapped, and I haven't seen anywhere in the space. It's kind of this way to customize stake and rewards in a way that gives really like the people like a lot more choices. And they could just compound it and put it back into Harmony, or they can do all of these different things.
Maybe I just had an idea, like a possible idea. So maybe people could like forfeit their staking rewards to be able to borrow against their stake or something like that. That seems pretty easy to build. And you have other people. Mintos is offering, people are getting creative, validators are getting creative. Mintos is offering you can have wage if you stake X amount of one. Check Viva, if you stake, I think 2001, you earn TEC. Hound has some stuff going on, so people are getting creative in that way. So I mean, that's the other thing too, is people need to kind of look outside the box, I think, in my opinion. Could you share how if you want, can you share how the internal vote, or if you want to talk .harmony on the layer 0 airdrop, if it's just bridging that might get rewarded, or if it's LP bridging and the other metric that might be used for the layer 0 airdrop, or to be continued on that one?
Yeah, I think right now, so again, that'll close this Friday, just so that gives us enough time to give our official submission finalized. And then again, right, we might have to reiterate, layer 0 might say like, you know what, no, right, or whatever it may be, all right, it's still their team's airdrop. So we're hopeful, hoping for the best and everything, and we want to put our best foot forward. In our current proposal, there's so I put it updated recently, I think this was 2 days ago, 50% to bridge users, 30% to liquidity providers, and 20% to recovery contributors. So I think the original was 45, 30, and 15. So a bit a bump to the bridge users and a bump to recovery. And I think kind of it's a nice kind of encompassing of everyone involved. And for context, 50% of bridge users is 448,312 wallets, and then liquidity providers is 79 wallets, and recovery contributors is 11. And we have all the CSV files and everything for that submission. We're just looking for layer 0 to, I actually gave it to them, I think 2 days ago, the full proposal as is, just to see what they would say. Because if we're able to kind of get an update before this Friday, it'd be nice to also get the community involved in that as much as possible. And this is a way. So again, right, liquidity providers and recovery contributors do not need to be in this airdrop. I think just based on the layer 0 airdrop, it's a more of an indirect utility. So in that case, right, recovery contributors would have to submit a proposal themselves. Liquidity providers, most notably, just I guess maybe it'd be Protofire or Swap, right, would have to deliver something themselves, right? Because when you have a bridge token and you not necessarily have that liquidity, it's really hinders its ability to impact the ecosystem overall. You don't really have a use case for it, for that bridge. Whereas once you add liquidity, now you can swap and you can gain exposure to different assets. So that's kind of why we wanted to incorporate the liquidity providers into that. And then, exactly like you said, where you have these bridge tokens and depegged assets, well, removing the depegged assets incentivizes the new pegged ones from the layer 0 bridge, right? So there is, even though it's indirect, it still has a massive impact in terms of usage of the bridge, right? Like if people go to an ecosystem and there's depegged assets, well, okay, I'm not going to use the bridge. Well, wait a minute, like none of the layer 0 bridged assets are depegged, right? So it helps with the overall narrative. So in this way, with these percentages, you kind of go through all the categories and you're like, okay, this is a layer 0 bridge. Let's incentivize the people who used it. Great. And then now after they bridge it, what do? Oh, they can swap it, and then you need liquidity for it. Or you can even lend them, right? Okay, so let's incentivize those people as well. So, okay, now bridge users, liquidity providers are accounted for. And then, okay, now it's the longer narrative of recovery contributors that have been pushing for a while. And now like recovery multi-sig custodians, recovery partners, R1, Modulo, right? Even the validators, right, that ran repegging nodes, right? We kind of want to have this all-encompassing kind of like Harmony protocol narrative that is tied to the layer 0 bridge. We'll see if layer 0 accepts it. You know, they could hear all of that and be like, nope, 100% goes to bridge users. In which case, you know, like that's definitely by far better than nothing, and people are incentivized with, or people are incentivized without even knowing that they were going to receive incentives, and that goes to, again, right, that's 448,312 wallets that qualify for that. And yeah, hopefully the people in this space are in one of those categories, and if not, yeah, it's just another thing that is nice to the Harmony community.
Yes, indeed, that's cool. I mean, that they're doing anything is special. So,
And I want to chime in here too. So,
yeah,
any airdrops that Recovery One get, they will use that to burn depegged assets. So we'll put it right back into burning and strengthening the ecosystem.
badass. And you guys use a lot of the bridge, so that's a potentially a significant amount. So that's fantastic to hear. That's good. Any other DeFi stuff, guys? I mean, it's all kind of DeFi, but we're gonna have to get Bones to come up with some DeFi jokes for us. All right, if we're gonna move on, then I kind of have two more things. I just want to do a little DAO corner. First, the Harmonauts DAO is on the 5th out of the 6th LBI, Liquid Burn Initiative. We're waiting for what we think is a good opportunity to leverage the recovery exchange. It's looking like probably around somewhere between 800 and 1,000 depegged USDC, so that's been going pretty good. I'm going to try to work on getting some statistics together before we close out next month to illustrate what we accomplished with that. And then people will, several people in here, the top three, well, me, Affirmation, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I was wondering if I was the only one that could
Yeah,
hear you
no,
for a second.
you're good now.
That's the other. Welcome to the mountain life. That's my co-host saves the space from getting dropped. It kicks me off like, I don't know, a little after the hour. Guess that's my little reminder. Anyway, LBI coming to an end next month. We have one more round in June. That'll close that out. Fantastic support. We've got. I'll just come up with the statistics on the next show or 2 shows from now. CryptoLand DAO had a successful launch. We'll work on getting some statistics out there as well. I think I'd mentioned earlier that we did our first YouTube. So hopefully we can start doing more of that and see what the community wants to learn about. And we're also doing a screen sharing video where we launch a new token yet to be named on Sunday. We'll do it live, and I think that'll kind of be like our own rewards token. That's not going to have much liquidity and probably not going to be worth a whole lot unless we get like donations or whatnot. But that's going to go live, and now that I'm able to record it, doesn't matter if 3 people come or 100 people come. People can watch it at their leisure. So I think that's important. Just we have to keep educating how to make LPs and how DeFi works and how to onboard and all that stuff. So I think there's a lot of people, especially now, like we talked about on Harmony One with the pegged assets and depegged assets. People are confused as heck, and I think we take it for granted because we've been here for a long time. But people that have even been here for a while, they don't even know that there's 2 USDCs and 2 BTCs and all that. So again, it's the long-term people. I think it's our responsibility to educate the newcomers. That's the DAO update. And then I just had a quick little overview on a potential recovery plan. I know Affirmation's coming on officially to the R1 Ambassadors team. I think we're having a meeting on Sunday, so that's beautiful. So he'll be in the him and Meta 1 class, so that's fantastic. They'll be in the recovery Discord, and we're going to have, I think, a face meetup on this Sunday, right, Matt? And Matt and other Matt. Matt L and Matt B.
Yeah. I think he's probably, multitasking at the moment.
Yeah, probably. We're gonna get him to learn UTC by in 2024. It's gonna happen. Can do it. But I think we got it nailed down for 2 p.m. UTC on this Sunday. I think we all agreed on that. So yeah, I think I'll just roll into my kind of last topic. So I had an idea. I think after we talked on the Swoop exchange, I think we talked about having like liquidity rewards pools. So we got somebody requesting here. Bones coming back. So we had talked about rewards pools or lack of rewards pools, and I joined the discussion on the talk forum and the recovery telegram about my 2 cents on Modulo's. I think that other people in here could say it better, but basically you can put a price on the asset that you want to get, and I'm drawing blanks on there because that's not my wheelhouse and not what I like, but basically users would be able to say that they want a specific price for depegged assets, and then whenever the market hits that or whenever trades hit that, it'd utilize that. I personally think it's complicated, or I don't know. I just thought, since I was doing the conversation, it made me think about like Modulo has a significant amount of funds that he hasn't been able to use for the last 3 or 4 months, even dropping down to only 25% of what the RAMCs giving him. So I just thought that if he was able to take his funds or even part of his funds and do what he's doing already, and then maybe split that into having like incentivized rewards pools on either swap.harmony.1 or some kind of existing infrastructure where people would be incentivized to add specific liquidity pools. So the recovery teams or Harmony devs or everybody all together can work together to pinpoint the different assets that need to be incentivized more. So if BTC, if you're having a hard time getting the BTC to get burned, you could reward that pool more, so people could add the liquidity. And then as the prices gets dragged higher, then the Modulo and Recovery One could kind of work hand in hand, where there could maybe be an incentive to burn a certain depegged asset more with the recovery exchange. But some of my ideas, the ideas are all in the Google form if people want to read more about it. But some of the things it does, it adds liquidity to the DEX. It adds incentives for people to add liquidity to the DEX. It allows H1 team, Harmony One teams to pinpoint and incentivize certain depegged assets. Medulla already has the funds, and they're not being used from what I can see from the last few months. And it's easy. It's an easy concept for people to understand that have been in DeFi. You make a certain LP, and like for instance, say 1 month the recovery teams want to push the 1 USDC depegged, then they make that like 55% rewards. And if they think the BTC is low, then they make that 10% reward. So people would want to go to get the more rewards, generally. So yeah, that's my basic idea and my basic spiel. It's had pretty good reception in the recovery Telegram, which is also on the Google document if people want to come in there. A couple of people came in and argued, and I argued my point, and then they kind of agreed. So yeah, that's just out there. That's my 2 cents on that. I don't know if anybody yay, nay, or want to go there. Other than that, that's.
I think it's definitely an interesting idea. How do we engage recovery with a lot of creativity, get people thinking about recovery in a different way? I think it's worth a try. So we'll talk, Eric, with the R1 ambassadors. Maybe that's an initiative that we can test out to see how it works.
Sounds good. I mean, and from my side, it seems like just like everything, it's hard to get everybody to agree on anything, or everything. So it seems like a potential way for the recovery teams to potentially work more together instead of against each other. So because we're all here to remove the debt and the depegged assets at the end of the day. So how we get there, that's a different thing. But yeah, that's cool. I appreciate the support and looking forward to talking on Sunday. The other things can wait on there. We just had the human protocol and the crazy.1. I can just I'll reach out some other time on that. It can just keep going on here whenever we don't have content or something. We're at an hour and a half. Anybody kind of have some closing thoughts or any kind of thoughts? Anybody in the audience want to come on up? Now's the time to do it. I'll just kind of pause there for a second.
Well, as we wrap up, I just want to thank you, Eric Tenacious, for hosting these things. Really is a great service to everybody. And then Theo, I can listen to Theo for hours. You got so much information and knowledge and depth. You're a treasure. So thank you.
Hey, thanks for the acknowledgement, Matt. And thanks for your commitment to come in here too. That means the world to me personally. So Theo, thanks. Affirmation, Bones, Recovery, everybody listening. We're all kind of in this together. So let's keep moving forward. I'll start sharing the heck out of this this thing next time. I don't know if we're going to try to do a Harmony YouTube again, but that's been pretty cool. And I think I'd mentioned earlier too, if you guys want to keep doing it for a while, and then I'll just kind of keep you updated on whenever I'm able to verify my phone number on the CryptoLand account, and then we could potentially just go straight live from here. So we could maybe do Discord, X, and YouTube all at once, and there might even be more stuff we can connect. So cool. I guess that's it. Nobody else has anything. So appreciate everybody that came to this. We'll be back in 2 weeks. The Google form, if you want to, I'll leave my posts going for like another day or something like that. The same Google form will just get recycled. I just kind of update that. So if you want to save the link, then you have it next time. You can kind of follow along and reach out to either me, Theo, or Peace and Love to update the form if there's something that you want to talk about. If maybe there's a language barrier, or shyness, or whatever it might be, time, other real life stuff. People have lives, outside of crypto stuff. I guess that's it. So I guess that's going to wrap us up for One Show 4. I appreciate everybody, and we will see you around the blockchain. Thanks, guys.